Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skin Talk Tuesday podcast. Hi, Nick.
Hey.
We are joined first time virtually. I'm like kind of impressed by the way that we've been able to do this. First time virtually with the PlasmaPen team. We have Ansa and Lynne. Ansa is the head of international training for PlasmaPen, and then Lynne is on their team as the sales and operations manager. So another, great encyclopedia for all things PlasmaPen. Hi, ladies. Welcome to Skin Talk Tuesday.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
This is Lynne.
Nice to meet you.
We're so excited to have you. So for anybody who doesn't know or isn't in the PT, hasn't had a treatment with us, we use the CoolJet PlasmaPen device in our treatment room. Nick, you can kind of speak to it a little bit more, but we have it for our Biofilm buster and the Lighten and Brighten treatment. And it's a device that I just know that is good for acne and good for skin.
The needle in your journey. I remember when you first started doing them, you came to me and you were like, Nick, I really feel like the CoolJet treatment, the Biofilm buster, is moving things. We had actually, it's funny, we were just talking before about encyclopedias on the different teams, because I know, Ansa, I was super impressed with the training that you did for our team and how amazing that was. And our encyclopedia, STT Kim, was the one that came to me and said, oh my God, Nick, you have to check out this new technology. It's a CoolJet cold plasma pen, and it's going to help our clients that we're stuck with, because we have a lot of clients that we consider to be in our too hard basket. And it's like finding things to help move the needle when you're not using acne suppressants or harsh topicals is really difficult. And one of the big things that we concentrate on is helping to dissolve the biofilm. So that was something, you guys came on our radar. And I was saying to Lynne as well in the conversation, we had already done the research. Like, we went to the esthetician fair to like get the CoolJet. Like, we knew that it was going to change the treatments that we were doing. And yeah, the education and just adding that extra realm has really, really been a game changer for the team.
I'm so excited to get into it. So for our listeners who may not know, what is PlasmaPen technology? Because to me, I'm like, I don't know. I just trust you guys.
Mary, so first of all, PlasmaPen is such an amazing innovation that has been around for quite some time now. But I think with especially cold plasma and ozone plasma, with the colder type of plasmas, we've only had it quite recently for about 3 or 4 years. However, the industry only started knowing about it now, but it has been around in the medical industry since about 1927 already, where they've used it in medical practice in hospitals for wound healing specifically. So it has been around quite a while, but it only came over to our aesthetic industry quite recently, which we are very grateful for. So if I can just explain quickly in a nutshell, what is plasma? So first of all, we use the atmospheric oxygen around the skin to create a plasma arc on top of the skin. And that arc is an energy. We energize the molecules so that we can get a therapeutic response from the cells inside the skin. That is the short version of it. There is, of course, a lot of science behind it. And it's all about the depths of penetration that we're penetrating into the skin to treat certain skin conditions. And I think the most important thing is, in today's age, people want to be in a salon or in a clinic and they want to go out without the downtime. And that is what we are able to achieve with our CoolJet glasses.
I feel like too, one of the things that I was super attracted to with the CoolJet pen was more as well about the fact that it wasn't invasive to the skin. Like, a lot of next level acne treatments tend to be things that are really invasive to the actual barrier. And so it was really important for us to find technology that helps heal acne that is adding to the barrier. So beyond the biofilm dissolving, I feel like the cold plasma technology improves barrier health in general. Like, there's so many more layers of benefit to it, right?
Yes, there are actually quite a few benefits of the cold, or we call it ozone plasma as well. It's a cooler temperatured plasma. depending on the temperature, that changes the type of plasma that we are producing into the skin. So ozone plasma is actually 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. So it's still under a safe temperature for body to use, that there's no risk of harm or risk of any burns or anything that feels uncomfortable to the clients. The clients are very comfortable. They don't have that invasive treatments. They don't need numbing. They can actually afterwards go out and into the in the public, and you won't even know that they've actually had a treatment done.
So like I was saying earlier, we use the CoolJet pen, which is one of your devices. How is that used when it comes to like the plasma technology?
So CoolJet, first of all, like I said, it's ozone plasma. So ozone plasma is our more superficial plasma. And it's very important that we understand the depth of our devices, how deep they work, because that's how you would determine also which conditions to treat. If you have more superficial conditions, you would need to treat more superficial. There's no need to then be very invasive and treat deeper. We can just do a superficial treatment. But when we are working with the CoolJet specifically, our CoolJet there's so many studies and research studies which is available online for people to read about the benefits, where of course some of these benefits is barrier repairs. When you mentioned it earlier as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things is barrier repair. There is so many people out there today that has compromised barriers. And therefore they are doing ablative treatments. And if you're doing an ablative treatment on top of a compromised barrier, you are only hurting it even more. So with the CoolJet, we are able to now first calm down the skin, prepare the skin, get the skin ready, and get that barrier repair done before you start working a little bit deeper. So it's all about the depth control for your devices that you are using, and that needs to balance with the conditions that you are treating.
Okay, so can you, especially for the novice like me, I've definitely, I'm that person in the group right now, but how can you explain how the cold plasma interacts with the skin on a cellular level? Like when we're using this device, which we use in our treatment room, the CoolJet specifically, like I've been saying, and it interacts like with the skin, like what is actually happening there?
So CoolJet, like I said, it's ozone therapy. What happens, first of all, is that it produces reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, which we just call RONs, right? So these RONs actually are able to penetrate the cell membranes and to activate a response inside. If it is the cell membrane of a bacterial cell, it will actually penetrate through that cell membrane and it will deactivate the DNA of that microbe or that bacteria. And that is where we have the antibacterial effect of the CoolJet, chilling that bacteria completely down. And with that said, with a mere 2 minutes of working with your CoolJet on any bacterial conditions, you kill about 40% of bacteria.
And when you say bacteria, do you mean, because, one of the issues that I've always had as an acne specialist is I don't like using things like benzoyl peroxide, which obliterates the whole microbiome. But my understanding with the CoolJet pen is that it's targeting the acne causing bacteria, but it doesn't disrupt the microbiome like a lot of the traditional antibacterial obliterators do.
No, definitely not. These reactive oxygen species, they've got a mind of their own, and they are like little search and find agents inside the skin. So they literally go into the skin and they search for those damaging bacteria. And one of the biggest one in an acne is the cuticum bacteria acne, which is I think one of our causes of biofilm inside acne problems as well, because that is what creates that sticky film inside the bacterial condition. So these RONs are very important to create. RONs can be either destructive or they can be a positive influence. And in this case, they are a positive influence because they search out for that damaging bacteria that is problematic inside the skin.
So who do you think can benefit most from the CoolJet technology?
First of all, because we obviously work on bacterial skin conditions, that would be our acne clients, any problematic skin. But don't forget about skins like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea. Although they are inflammatory conditions, they also have bacteria inside. So we've got to do with Staphylococcus aureus, we've got dermatitis, we've got rosacea with Demodex mites. So we have all these different types of bacteria that needs to be addressed. So those are not only in acne, and we tend to think that acne is the only concern. However, because the CoolJet, one of the benefits is also that we are completely calming down that pro-inflammatory cytokine production inside the skin, getting that inflammation in those inflammatory skins. Those are the ones that we want to treat. So it's bacteria, it's that inflammation inside, that redness or erythema that we get in certain conditions. But also what we seem to miss a lot is people who are on medications who have sensitized skins, such as antibiotics or Roaccutane clients or corticosteroid clients. The barrier is already impaired. So those are the type of people, and I'm sure that you know as well, Mary, that a lot of times in the history, we couldn't treat those people. And those were the ones that we were actually showing away, because if we tried to treat them, we would just aggravate the condition even more when they are on these type of medications. So now we are able to treat them as well as part of our group of clients.
I think too, just in the industry in general, like even though it is, this knowledge has been around for a long time, I don't know necessarily that it's caught on that much about things like the importance of biofilm and removing biofilm in acne care, the things that are protecting the acne bacteria. Like everything is about the bacteria. But if you look at a lot of the major acne skincare lines or the most like common modalities that are used to treat acne, not enough people are talking about the importance of biofilm and the role that it plays in making it's almost like, I know with a lot of our clients, we will get to a point where we have absolutely everything lined up skincare product wise for them, and we're doing great treatments, but we're just not seeing the results that we should. And then we'll know straight away, they need a biofilm buster series because the actives just aren't penetrating. Like that's the other thing that I love about the CoolJet technology, is that it does its own thing in adding to the acne healing, but it also enhances the other stuff that you're doing as well, right? Like product penetration and just getting rid of the biofilm that's protecting the acne bacteria.
Ansa, I'd love to hear your perspective as well. Like, what is biofilm?
I always
you said, it's something that nobody's really talking about.
So I describe it as like it's a sticky substance that's role is to protect the bacteria so that the actives that you're using can't penetrate and kill it. So it's like a protective substance that protects the acne bacteria. In the industry, we're always talking about like, antibacterial this, antibacterial that. But if you don't have the right, if a person has a lot of biofilm production, all of those antibacterial ingredients are going to meet a huge wall of resistance. So, you need to break that down first to be able to. It's kind of like, here it goes with the analogies again.
Nicole is like known for analogies. Like buckle up.
The bouncer at the club that's stopping you from coming in, right?
Okay, yeah, sure.
So that's what a biofilm
I see.
is.
Okay, so
I mean, that's my understanding.
So Ansa, then for the CoolJet, like how is the technology able to break that down so that we can like really, have our products and everything just be more effective?
Mary, so first of all, I think where the big problem is that in the industry, we've normally only seen biofilm or I want to say mentioned biofilm in wound healing. So it has been available there. It was there and everybody knew about it, but they never thought that it's part of the acne regime, that we need to help fix that in the acne process. And only recently that they started publishing more articles about this, on how to heal and fix this. So one of the big problems, like Nicole has said, there is that biofilm protects the bacteria. And the problem with that is that when it's protected, also the macrophages will go and they'll stand guard around these bacteria. And the body doesn't see it as foreign material, or it doesn't see it as something that is bad to the body or harmful. But the same thing if they are taking antibiotics, the antibiotics cannot even see this bacteria. And a lot of times also treating with different treatments such as lasers. Some lasers cannot see the bacteria because that sticky film is completely covering it. So it is imperative for us to find that way. And I think that is a big gap in a lot of the treatments for acne, that people are putting a lot of teenagers on antibiotics, on your Accutans, your tretinoins, to try to get that resistant bacteria. But at the end of the day, they're only treating the symptoms and not the root cause. So they're treating on top, so they're not fixing the problem.
And then,
so with the CoolJet, what we are doing, and this is
I was going to say, and then what I see in the cycle of acne healing is when the treatments aren't working with teenagers, like this example of teenagers, derms and practitioners are just throwing more and more actives, and things are just getting like higher and higher in that way, when really no one's dealing with the fact that they haven't got the biofilm. Like, things aren't working because of that first line of defense that the bacteria has. And so that's why you get young people on Accutane at way too young, or multiple levels of the antibiotics, the clindamycin, all of the gels. It's just like it goes up, up, but they're not getting that first step right.
Exactly that. And I think what we are doing with the CoolJet is, because we are activating those RONs, the reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, they are able to open up that sticky layer. They able to release them so that the body can actually start seeing the problem and we can get to the cause of it. And therefore I try to encourage as many teenagers and as many derms and all around practitioners, when you are placing these children and these teenagers on these type of medications, they have to have that supportive mechanism of the therapeutic response coming in from the outside, like with a CoolJet device, to build that skin barrier, to break that sticky layer, to help to achieve not only breaking down, but also building up on the other hand as well.
I mean, what you said right there is basically the Pacific Touch philosophy, like breaking down, but not forgetting to build up. I think that's my own experience of acne. I had acne from 13 to 32. It was always about the attack, and I think that's why Pacific Touch was born. It was like, okay, for true skin freedom, you do need to remember to build. In fact, that's the most important part. Like, that's where you get the true skin freedom from, right?
Exactly.
Totally. Well, so like we were saying, I know you were mentioning, and I've actually, with my experience with CoolJet, was I had terrible like maturation arrest acne, like all around my chin. It felt like attacks.
Very resistant.
Yes. And it was just like we were doing all the right things. We were doing all these like treatments and extractions and everything like that. But we really just needed like, I feel like that, just something to really help like move the needle. And honestly, using the CoolJet and doing those treatments were super helpful. I think it just like, back to kind of how you're explaining the science, like it's all starting to make sense, like breaking down that layer so that you could really start to address the acne, which makes me so grateful, honestly, for CoolJet. But what other kinds of results can you expect from using the device, especially in that acne perspective?
I think the biggest thing that we need to remember with this device is that it wakes up a cell response inside the skin. And this doesn't just mean an acne skin or a age skin or a dry skin or whatever the condition may be. This is all about waking up cell response on cells that have become stagnant, or cells that they're not doing their job as they should. When we are younger, our cells and our skins and our body work at an impeccable rate. And as we age, as we know, everything starts going down and slowing down. And that's exactly what happens to our skin cells. And with the CoolJet, I think one of the the biggest thing where everything leads from is that we've got that therapeutic cell response waken up again. It's like we're switching on all the lights inside the skin. So the cells just do their job better, because a lot of people, you'll notice, they'll say, oh, now I've suddenly got a glow on my skin. Why? Because the skin cells are starting to work. They're happy. They are open for, the cell membranes are open for that penetration of the product. So everything works better and faster. So with that, just as a preparation for skin health, that is what your project starts. From there, I can treat any type of skin. And I think that's what makes CoolJet so amazing, is that we can safely treat even children from the age of 12, from pre-teen acne, where they start with the problems. And I think that's something that, for me, it's very dear to my heart, is teenagers with acne, that they don't have the right guidance. They don't have the right people. And sometimes, sadly, it's the parents that doesn't know and understand. So we need to educate them rather. So for me, teaching them and showing them a device that is safe and a device that is not just breaking down but building up. From a young age, they can see that there are things that can be done. They don't need to leave that acne until they get to a stage where it becomes a horrible acne scar, where which they have to live with for the rest of their lives. So I think that is the biggest thing of CoolJet, is that's a therapeutic cell response that we are waking up in cells. It prepares cells, even before you do invasive treatments or traumatic treatments. When you do a CoolJet before that, it prepares the cells, it wakes them up, it makes them ready. So immediately the cell response is better to that treatment that you are performing after as well.
And what you're talking about is so important. I know from a social worker point of view, I was always, when I first started Pacific Touch, a vast majority of our clients are female. They've been struggling for years. Most people that come into Pacific Touch have had years and years of failed, like dermatologist appointments. They've been on all the harsh medications and topicals. But because we're taught at such a young age to fight our skin, there's a real disconnect in terms of caring for yourself. And I think on multiple levels, psychological as well as physiological, that has a huge impact on your self-worth. Like your ability, I remember when I was young and on things that burnt my skin, or, and I have these clients that come in, same thing. And it's like you turn off from the pain, you push through, it's almost like it's an encouragement to disrespect an organ that's trying to look after you. Like to your point about the skin knows what to do. There are things that are happening to it where it's under pressure or it needs to be woken up. But ultimately, if it's given nurture, it knows what to do. And it's like teaching children. I mean, I feel it too, Ansa. I have a young one. She's 10. I know she's got mama skin. I'm starting to see the signs that she is acne prone. And it's like, I don't want her to treat herself like that, because it's not her skin, it's her. Our skin is us. So how we treat ourselves is so important. And I think this is the message that I want to get across to people, that skincare is an action, but what it is it's reaffirming how we feel about ourselves, and I want to be part of the movement that is teaching people to want to look after themselves, to have their skin healthy and glowing, and that's where the true freedom really is.
Exactly, yes. Now, I 100% agree with you. I've got 3 teenagers, and one of them is a boy, and I am starting to see quite some changes. So if I don't step in and tell them and teach them what to do now, they're not going to know afterwards, or in a few years' time. And I still say that everything starts with cleaning. If they just know how to clean their skin properly, that's already a big step. Yes, unfortunately, we do have that problem worldwide.
And I think social media, really, there's so much misinformation, but we know that young people, that's where everybody is getting their education from. And I think I'm always attracted, and this is the big reason why we chose to go with CoolJet, is the emphasis on education. Like, obviously the technology is important, but having companies that care about their practitioners understanding why they're using what they're using, how to use it properly, and like the full education to be able to pass on to your clients why you're doing what you're doing. Because I know, most people that come to Pacific Touch have been on a lot of different things, but when you ask them, why are you on that? They'll say, I don't know. And they'll be doing all of these things that are creating these adverse effects. And they're, really quite painful. Some of it is very painful when you're on those harsh topicals and medications. And to not know or not be told is just, not something that I want to be connected with. So I think that's the other thing too, is I love the education behind why you do what you do.
But if you were to work with somebody like a teenager or somebody who's going through acne, and really, wants to get down to the bottom, but before they reach for, the acnes or the topicals or anything like that, especially when it comes to CoolJet, how would you recommend they go through treatment?
Well, first of all, it's important that we make sure they understand what is the primary factors of the cause, what happened on their skin. So I like to draw. I'm a picture person, so I will take my little paper and I'll draw the skin for them on the paper, and I'll show them exactly. I'll draw the pilosebaceous unit with the little sebum gland, and I'll explain to them, especially children, they see visually, they wanna understand what's going on. So I show them in the pilosebaceous unit, this is where the oil is produced, and this is where your dead skin cells are lying on top of your skin. This is how the tooth fall into this follicle and then creates that pus that comes on the top. And then at the end, we've got the inflammation around that pilosebaceous unit. So I explain all of that first, because they need to understand what's happening in their skin. And they also need to understand that what they see on the outside is not exactly what's going on inside. It's much deeper than that. And then I start explaining to them integrative health. They need to look at their gut health, of course, their probiotics, the food that they eat, zinc, and your probiotics for me is a massive part of what we're doing. And then, of course, because we are building barrier, we want to have them on good omegas as well, especially our omega-3s. And then we take our treatments, CoolJet, and because we're dealing with bacteria, I do remind them that bacteria has spores, right? So these bacteria, they often have a little bit of a rebound bacteria when you start treating these skins. So they need to understand it's not magic. Skin is all about being consistent. So when we start treating them, that consistency in the treatment is what's going to win the race. We need to keep killing those spores of the bacteria so that we don't leave them to regrow all the time. So they need to understand it's a process. It's not magic.
Yeah, it really is a process, but it's so interesting that, especially like, obviously you both are in the business of selling a device, but I love that you said that it really just comes from those, environmental factors, lifestyle things, like really, gut health, looking at the root cause and everything, because that really is like the foundation. And then with our treatments and everything, we can work with that from there. But, having that foundation is just the most important, I think, especially when it comes to like acne healing, of course, which we talk a lot about on our podcast.
Do you feel like microbiome health and just everything that we've been talking about in our conversation today is the future of skincare? Like, do you feel like it's going to more and more and more people will start to understand the importance of this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think that especially like the last few years, we've seen quite a big change in the industry. I also come from more than 25 years of working in clinic and seeing all these different conditions and different devices coming and going, latest technologies, and the bigger the better. And I'm in Dubai. We work here with devices that you can't even imagine. And at the end of the day, I got to tell you, I keep going back to, and honestly, I go back to my CoolJet. That's the best of all.
Wow.
And in clinic, they would always, why would you still choose CoolJet? It's because when my skin, and it's like you explained earlier with the bodyguards in front of the nightclub. When my skin is not prepared from the outside and it's not ready for those more invasive treatments, I'm doing more harm than good. So even if I treat deeply, even if I'm just treating aging or I'm just treating laxity on the skin, the point is that if I don't have that strong barrier and I don't have cells that are ready for the treatment, a calm and stable melanocyte, I'm not going to be able to perform the deeper treatment. So at the end of the day, I start superficial, I fix superficially first, and then go deeper, deeper, deeper. So it's important that we get this message out there for people to understand that we don't need to break through the skin, that the blood is running off the face. And I know that a few years ago, that was exactly what they did. And it's changed. It's changed, and I'm so happy to see that.
Me too.
What is it like globally? Because obviously, especially when it comes to like acne healing, what have you noticed? And Lynne, you can jump into, because I know that you're in the UK. How have you noticed in the industry with treatments and everything for acne specifically been like where you guys are?
Well, me personally, I'm not a therapist. I am more on the sales side of things, but I know we have a lot of, it's a very, very popular device. And I think sometimes people don't realize how effective it is simply because it is something so simple. And it's only once they start using it or they see other people who have had these amazing results from it and that they just can't get the head around just how something so simple can be so effective.
Uh-huh. I mean, totally. Same. And Ansa, I feel in Dubai, I'm sure that you're surrounded by so many different, like, I don't know, innovations and things to use. Like, what have you noticed that has been the thing that people are doing for like acne healing?
I think sadly, in clinics mostly, they are still very invasive on acne healing. And that's for me it's quite concerning actually, because I don't think that, yes, we do want to wake up a natural response and a wound healing response from the body, but I still feel that keeping control is key. And I do think that a lot of these practitioners sometimes go too much invasive to get results done. And it's not needed. We've seen that now a million times. It's not needed. You know, even today, I was marking a student's case studies that she uploaded, and I was actually in awe. And I said to her, please, can we get consent to share these pictures? Because the result is just unimaginable. You can't believe, like Lynne said, you can't believe that such a small, simple device can achieve this. So I'm really worried that practitioners that are all, they have their own way and their own opinion, which is great, but they need to be a little bit more open to new technologies coming in.
I feel like too, we're always going to be battling, and I think that it's getting worse as, more and more of us are involved in like social media and things like that, is everything needs to be instant. Like a lot of the less invasive or more integrative approaches to healing take time, but that's always the pain point because we're all in a hurry to get well fast, and so the quick fix is always more appealing than being told, oh, okay, this is going to take 6 to 8 months to start to see a dramatic improvement. And, people will balk at that and will want to do the laser or whatever is offered,
like the
like
depths
a quick
that people
treatment.
will go just to like to really have it done, like a one and done treatment is kind of crazy. Well, it's actually one of the big questions that I had for both of you too, because I feel like in a world where there are so many lasers and so many treatments and everything like that, it's like, why would we choose CoolJet to use for acne? Like, why do we believe it? And I know that we've, of course, talked about the science and everything, but how do you think it compares the CoolJet PlasmaPen to like those treatments when it comes to those long-term results?
So first of all, I think, sorry, Lynne, I'll jump in here. And I think one of the biggest things, like I said earlier, it's all about the depth of penetration, which is very important. You need to decide what you are treating, where exactly does the condition lie, and focus, have a more focused treatment. Don't just, it's like shooting and hoping you're shooting something. You have to have that more focused approach to therapies so that you focus on the actual cause of what causes that problem. And I think that is what a lot of practitioners does. So they're only focusing on how it looks on the outside, on the symptoms. We need to get to the bottom of the problem. And with different lasers, I mean, yes, you're right, there are so many different things in the market, but most of them are invasive treatments. A lot of them you can't do on darker skin types, especially your Fitz 5, 6, and 7. Higher Fitzpatrick's. With our CoolJet, we are able to treat all skin Fitzpatrick. It's not color dependent device, so it doesn't see color. So we can treat all different types and colors without the risk of post-inflammatory pigmentation, hyper or hypo. Very, very safe device and non-ablative. You don't need numbing cream. You don't need long downtime. So everything is just so much easier and faster with your CoolJet.
Yeah, I know that that's been a huge benefit, just hearing everything about the CoolJet. What do you think are some of the biggest benefits to being a non-invasive treatment?
Just the fact that there's no downtime. You can do a quick treatment in your lunch hour. Like Ansa said before, just get up and go. No need to cover up, no downtime, no just no after effects really. And people will notice straight away, because if nothing else, you will get a beautiful glow from it.
Well, and I know that
happy skin, that's what you
right. That's
and happy
want.
Skin heals.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's like when you and when your skin's in distress, all it's doing is trying to survive. But when it's balanced and you're not doing things that are invasive, because that's the other thing too, you know, I will get clients sometimes that just don't have are not in the right headspace for an integrative approach, and so they will go, you know, to a heavier topical or a medication, and they'll end up getting perioral dermatitis or some other sensitized condition because of the invasive treatment. So sometimes too, you're opening the door to trouble when you try and deal with something harshly. You may temporarily deal with it, but then you end up with a host of other problems.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, I was even saying, because the educator, Kim, who sought you guys out and wanted to bring you into archery room, she said something about how, like, and you guys are going to have to correct me because I don't know, but like something about how like the channels are open like 12 hours before, or sorry, 12 hours after the treatment. So is that like, because then she was saying just like all the products that you put in, it's like even more penetrable, I guess, like on the skin. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, so research actually shows 12 hours. However, we have found that up to 48 hours, your channels will still open after the CoolJet session. And just a funny story, we had a student a few months ago who her client actually, it was about 72 hours after the treatment, she applied a purple shampoo on her scalp. She washed her hair with purple shampoo. And her whole scalp turned purple. So it literally penetrated into the scalp. And of course, she was not so happy, but we were so happy to hear that, because that's such an amazing show.
Yep, a very clear illustration.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Although research says 12 hours, but we know that I teach the students 24 hours. If you have clients also not to wash their skin for that first 24-hour period if possible, or if you're doing hair treatment, hair restoration, and that's something we haven't even spoken about, which is, oh gosh, absolutely amazing with the CoolJet. They should not wash their hair for 24 hours. So that is important, because you are also applying that transdermal serums onto the skin, and you want that to really penetrate deep and to nourish the skin and to get that skin cells to take it all in and use everything.
Right.
So for 24 hours, no washing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because we actually use, our Lighten and Brighten treatment, we start with the CoolJet and then we go into the Bio Repeal. And I guess now it's all kind of making sense because it's more like after you use the CoolJet, it's like more penetrable with the peel. So then it's just even that much more effective.
Exactly, yes. We do advise when you are applying, whatever you apply after CoolJet is going to penetrate. So obviously you need to think about what you're applying after, especially in a treatment environment. You need to think about applying masks and things afterwards. Is it something that you want to penetrate into the dermis? So you have to think about that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this has just been so informative. And I just feel like now I really have a clear sense of what we're doing here with using the CoolJet in our treatment room. I'm so curious, what is next for PlasmaPen technology? What are you most excited about? Like, please tell us.
Well, I think Ansa will agree with me. It's got to be the Fusion 8.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell us more.
Yes, I think Lynne has hit the nail on the head there. We have launched the Fusion 8 in January this year. That was now. I can't believe it's been almost a year already.
Time flies.
But we have had so much success stories with the Fusion 8. It is just an enhanced version of CoolJet. CoolJet, where it's the ozone plasma penetration more superficial, where the Fusion 8 has multi-modalities, where we have cold plasma, even colder than the CoolJet, as well as warm plasma, and even you can add your hot plasma to that as well. So it is a massive improvement. I think for the industry as well, a lot of focus on wound healing, a lot of focus on healing, on repairing, on eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, but specifically that repair mechanism. I think that side of the fusion gives me such excitement because we are able to heal conditions. And I don't want to claim that we're healing, but I do want to claim that we're healing.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
If you know, you know.
Of course.
The relief of the symptoms is just unimaginable. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to see where the fusion is going to take us for the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has just been so incredible, so awesome, and I just feel so lucky that you guys were able to coordinate this. I know that we're, like I was saying earlier, we're working with some time zones here, so I'm glad that we were just able to get all of the information from you and really understand this part of the healing process, especially when it comes to acne and how, there are devices and tools that we can use in our toolkit in order to really move the healing along, but in our integrative approach, which is just exactly what we want. So thank you both for being on the Skin Talk Tuesday podcast. Thank you, Nick, for all of your insight as well.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody.
It's been our pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Skin Talk Tuesday podcast. Of course, as always, if you have any questions or want to hear more from us, please send us a DM, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.